Good morning. Garrett Grantham here again. It is a beautiful Sunday morning. Doing a little bit better. August 20 odd something. I don't know who even remembers anymore. This summer's burnt by so quick it's not even funny. But a little bit less smoke today. Beautiful Sunday day. Actually see some of the mountains today. A little bit hazy looking off in the distance, but we can actually see the Wellsvilles out there this morning. Nice, beautiful. A little bit chilly. Not too bad though. Good morning. Kind of stuff we dream about. If you'll notice, my Snap-on box is back. I won't get into the whole nightmare of why I quit my job, but I quit on the spot and walked out. Ended up being some violations of human rights at the corporation that I was not happy with. They were pushing the vaccine pretty hard. Obviously, they can't mandate it. They sure as all heaven were trying. I'd finally had enough. Had tons of work outside. I didn't seem to be getting anything decent. Only 2-3 tent recalls. Quite a few other things that had just kind of added up over the years, especially with the commute. My wife was rather quite upset with me having to drive over what is known as Sardine Canyon, which I can actually show you that canyon, or at least might be able to. No, all the trees are in the way. So right where the mountain's over there, there is a nasty canyon that shoots straight up. It's known as Sardine Canyon here locally in Cache Valley. Rather quite dangerous, especially in the winter. I didn't have too many troubles because the Mustang only saw a couple of months, and then we were able to pick up that Infinity, that all-wheel drive G35X, and that just absolutely decimated that mountain, even in multiple feet of snow. Super impressed with what that car could do, and that will forever. I will keep that till the day I die, with as reliable and as well as that one runs. So. Anyways, today we're going to be focused on the 302. We're going to try to keep this somewhat short. We're already into this 2 minutes. So what we've got done so far is I was able to get the pistons over to the machine shop, was able to get the rods swapped over, got them installed into the block, torqued down to spec, able to turn it over, spinning over beautifully, no issues at all, no binding, so should be good to go there. However, I did find a video that said do not soak these cylinders and these piston rings down in 1030 on the rebuild. What you want to do is soak them down in WD-40, because the 1030, especially if they're absolutely soaked, can wipe out and polish, or not polish, it will glaze the cylinder walls, and you'll end up losing compression in your cylinders. It'll end up wiping out all the cross-hatching. So unfortunately, I'm going to be pulling all these back out today, cleaning them up, WD-40ing them, and then sticking them back down in the holes. So, and then of course I've still got to clean up, a couple things here and there on this block. But for the most part, we are going back together, which is good news, seeing as I've been working on this a little bit too long. Now, the majority of that has been my own fault. So this is the one cylinder head. It's ready to go back on, all cleaned up, polished, ready to be reinstalled, and we'll go over what exactly we've done so far. So this is the next cylinder head that's coming up that we're going to be getting to here. I'm gonna have to flip this one over here in just a second, but what we've done is you can see some of these cylinders had water sitting in them at some point, and knowing the history of this engine is impossible. I know this was picked up by my uncle back in I want to say the early 80s, late 90s, was rebuilt by him and my father, installed into the truck, and ran great until it was blown up. I think I've given you guys that story. But what we're doing is we are actually polishing, trying to bring these to a mirror finish. Now there's still quite a bit of sanding, still quite a bit that needs to be done. It needs to be cleaned up. Now this doesn't have to be perfect. You can see I did kiss the valves just a little bit with my Dremel. I'm not too worried about it, very, very minor amounts, and I prefer to leave these valves in them even though we'll be reusing them. I prefer to leave the valves in place to prevent me from damaging the seats, which the other seats, we pulled all the valves out of that one, lapped the valves, and what we ended up finding was that the valves were actually pretty bad. There were one or two of them that really should have been replaced, but realistically with this motor, this is kind of a last-ditch effort to make it run and make it live again. The cylinders are bored over. We've ended up polishing on top of bored cylinders, so there's bored 60 over, and we have ended up polishing them, I believe, 2, possibly 3 times. They've been honed out since then, so we're really at our absolute limit of what this engine will be able to handle. These are nothing special. I believe these are E3 cast Ford heads, so not the worst out there, but definitely not the best by any means. These are still stock cast iron heads. These are not anything special. Otherwise, if these were better heads, $500 a piece, $1,000 a piece heads, we would definitely be getting another short block and swapping them to them. However, there's really nothing all that's too great about this engine. It does have a 3/4 cam. It does have the hypertectic pistons from Summit Racing that we're installing. So I figured if we're gonna try to make this thing run, and the amount of money that it took to put back into this with pistons, gaskets, everything that we need to put it back together, we're about $500 to get this thing back on the road. Hopefully it's going to run for, you know, at least a while. We're gonna end up finding out what's going on. So, but what we've got done so far, so this one's just in the early stages of polishing these cylinder heads, these combustion chambers. Yes, we do lose a little bit of compression there. However, we can run a little bit more timing with it because we're not going to be getting early detonation from some of the damage that's happened here. Now you can see this one's especially bad, where this one actually had coolant or water sitting in the cylinder for a considerable amount of time. Again, there's no way to know the full history on this motor because it is from 1972. So this one's up next. We're going to be getting into this one. Let me pause this for a second, rotate the cylinder head around so you guys can see what we've got done. Okay, so these are the exhaust ports, and of course they're too dark and carboned up. Let me grab the flashlight just to be able to see anything. So this is what they looked like before. I did some porting on the intakes. They had already been done, but the exhaust side really did need some help. So you can see where we have this carbon tracing all the way around the outside of that. I was able to remove a lot of that on the other side on that other cylinder head that's ready to go in over there. So this up here, if you'll notice that little nub inside of here, right up in here, that was to help that heat from the exhaust warm up the cylinder heads a little bit quicker. Also in the later 302s, this was used to actually, for the EGR, so they would actually drill a hole through that little nub that they put in here. And it doesn't look like much in this video, but it actually takes up quite a good amount of space inside of that exhaust port. And on these older 302s, there's absolutely nothing inside of it. So you can grind that all the way back into the back and got it completely away. So you'll notice how much carbon tracing we have around the outside of these. And all of that is additional performance that we were able to pick up simply by trimming out where that gasket wasn't sitting at. And of course, my new gaskets that I got, I believe they are for the smaller size 302, so we might have to go do some hunting to find the proper exhaust gaskets to fit this again. I believe I may have kept the old ones, but they're going to be some. We're going to have to dig them out and see if we can find them. So we're going to pull this tape back, show you guys just exactly what we got done. And of course it flayed like that. So as you can see with this one, we have absolutely cleaned it up. We have ground these out significantly, and that nub is completely gone on these ones. So we have actually cut that completely away. The nub that was in there is gone. We did try to bring this to something of a polished finish. Didn't exactly have to be perfect because, of course, my Dremel didn't have tools quite long enough to get all the way in there and completely polish the cylinder out. But the majority of the performance gains are down here out on the end. So we got these cleaned up, ready to get installed. We got the valves lapped on these. The intake side, I'm not going to show you those, but we did take a little bit off the outer edges here. There's not really a whole lot to be gained on these particular heads, especially where they were already ported on the intake side before. Hopefully this is just going to help it breathe. So the issue that we were having when we worked, we did have it running, and we don't know if the pistons are exploded or not. We just could not seem to get it to run right. I believe that issue might have been just the heads just not able to flow enough air, especially on the exhaust side. So hopefully that will help clean some of that up. Also, every one of the valves in this, both intake and exhaust, were both sludged. They were covered, the valve seat and the valve face where they meet together inside of the head, they were completely pitted, covered in all kinds of carbon, nasty sludge, and they just were not sealing right, which is a huge performance gain just to clean those up. I mean, we had the heads off, might as well lap the valves. Doesn't take a whole lot to do it. The biggest thing is patience, and there's thousands of these videos on YouTube. There's no reason for me to make another one. Just wanted to get you guys updated on where we were at with it. So for the valve lapping compound, I'm using a Permatex brand. This is just a valve grinding compound. Nothing special about it. The only thing you have to know is that when you're done lapping the valve, you immediately need a wet rag, and not a soaked one, but a wet rag to clean up all of that gray grinding or polishing valve lapping compound off of the valves. So Overall came out very, very well. This one, I'm into that cylinder head. Oh geez, probably about 2 weeks of polishing, grinding, and porting out those exhaust ports. Hopefully this one will go a little bit quicker, especially now where I feel like I'm a little bit, I want to say skilled, but I've got a little bit of experience doing it now, so I'm hoping this head will go a little bit quicker than the other one. We are going back together. We do have the clutch sitting out here, gaskets, head bolts, everything ready to go on. The biggest factor now is just the time to do it. So, which now that I don't have a job, I am currently working for my brothers. We only put in about a half day, usually off by about noon, one or two. So it's not incredible money that I'm making from them, but you know, it's a couple bones coming in. I've just been lazy, wanted to kind of take a break. It's been nice half week working. It's been nice. I've been able to get some time into this motor, been able to actually catch some R&R this summer and go hiking. Got a couple of those in this last week, so it's been pretty good. Want to get you guys updated once we get these heads cleaned up, polished up, and in fact, I might even show you guys the valves as we're lapping them. But watch for the next video. Hopefully, we'll be getting this motor put back together and get it ready to stab back in the truck. Some upcoming projects are going to be the inner fender liners, and we may even still just hack those back together. But as of right now, I still can't get the hood off. It can come off, but I do need at least one other person to help me pick it up and set it either in the bed or find a place to put it while we repair those inner fenders so that we can open the hood at our leisure without worrying about those inner fender liners. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Quick update for you. We're going to be plugging away on this one today, so have an excellent one.